Hello, welcome to the Counterpoint quick take of the Apple keynote event yesterday, where Apple announced 4 new iPhones, a new Apple Watch, and 2 new tablets. Hello, Neil. Interested to hear what your opening thoughts were of the new iPhones.
Yeah, I think a lot of innovation baked into iPhones as usual, and it's going to be a great upgrade for the large user base, especially the, the folks on iPhone 8, X, XS, 11. For them, it's going to be a big upgrade with especially with the powerful A15 Bionic chipset, a lot of different services which are now baked in, and at the same time, the cameras are getting better. And if you are in a market for good cameras, I think the Pro models are great videography features. What do you think, Jeff? What was your favorite feature from iPhones?
Yeah, there were no new radical designs as expected, and no real surprises, and the pricing was basically the same as last year. But I think what's lost is Apple's not competing against last year's model. Now that the iOS base is older and established, growing to 4 years, they're competing, as you mentioned, on very older iPhones. And in that sense, I think they really held serve and have considerable improvements. And added to that, these complementary devices with the watch and upgraded tablets and better integration, their own silicon. And the more music and TV and other services, I think Apple did a great job, and these new devices will be seen as very successful, and they'll have a very success, as did the 12 series last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at, to give you some context, those who have not been following Apple's entire journey. So, as Jeff, we have seen that Apple has shipped more than 2 billion iPhones till date since launch, and generated close to almost 1.4 trillion worth revenues, 430 billion worth profits just from iPhones, right? And as Jeff said, you said it's sitting on a 1 billion plus iPhone base, and a lot of them are older iPhones. I think it's a great opportunity for getting into a next super cycle. We thought iPhone 12 is going to be a good super cycle with 5G coming in, but I think iPhone 13 will take it even a notch further, because the pandemic is actually going away a little bit in many markets, and people are trying to spend more money on the goods, premium phones, premium experiences. Maybe many of them are due for upgrades to buy more expensive iPhones this time around than before.
Absolutely. I think an important point is Apple looks like they want to be very aggressive in the China market. Pricing actually was down a little over the iPhone 12. In the US and Europe, the pricing actually is the same, although you do get the bottom of the memory configuration starting at 128 gig is the difference. And also in the US market, we just have such competition between the carriers. They're jumping over each other for who can have the largest promotion, and Apple will really benefit from this. And now having 2 generations of 5G, so lower cost 5G, the carriers will just really be pushing these devices. Europe, maybe not quite as aggressively will the operators be, but certainly they are also excited about getting more 5G devices. So maybe even the cost eroded 12 series will do well. And Apple continually, very slowly, but ekes out a little bit of Android to iOS migration. And with these other services and stickiness, they're just not losing subscribers. So that's really important, and bodes well for Apple. As far as some of the the tech specs, I think Apple spent a lot of time on the camera configuration and the improvements there. Um, this cinematic mode that will keep a person in view, or if they gaze away, it will focus on where they're gazing. A lot of these improvements for medium making media will be seen as kind of probably the larger improvements year over year. Obviously, their own silicon and these brags of speed and better battery life are very important. But I think we have to wait until we get the devices in our hands and really put them to the test there. But were there any other specs you see as important or deserve extra call out?
Yeah, as you said, like about a lot of improvements in videography for Apple in the Pro models, even in the base models, we are seeing a lot of features around camera, 4K recording, and so forth. So the bumping up the base model to 128 GB, I think that was a good move. But I believe at least the Pro models should have started with 256 instead of 128 for the value and for the feature sets. 128 is too small for the Pro models, especially if you are positioning it as a device which can record 4K video and Dolby Vision, which will take up like a lot of space. And I had a just wild thought that we might see even a lot of movies or shows shot on iPhone Pro models, and it comes on the Apple TV. Maybe there could be a section where you would see Apple TV Plus become having a section just movie shot on iPhone. So look forward to that if that happens.
Yeah. One other item that Apple, I think, will really continue to drive, and that's the privacy and the
Mm.
anti-tracking options. I think that will continue to gain steam from consumers as that gets kind of better understood by the mass market. And the things they're doing there of really marketing what they're doing with iOS 14 and in that, I think that will resonate over the next year. And as far as the other call out, this 120 hertz OLED, with high improved PPI, better durability, a bit more recessed into the casing and the ceramic shield layer. I think that will both help. The strength and also performance. Not exactly sure how people will use that, I suppose, for gaming. And it
Yeah.
will just be simply a beautiful display for consumption. But those improvements probably will be important for upgraders.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that is going to be the pro vision which Apple talks about in terms of variable display rate. It's not just about gaming, but also if you are on if you're just reading a text or reading a Kindle ebook, it adjusts the frame rate according to which suits your eyes, and at the same time preserves battery as well. So you don't need to have 120 hertz on for just reading a book. Maybe for gaming, yes, and it can turn on and off dynamically to preserve battery life. So I think that is great feature which you highlighted. I believe another thing which was slightly not highlighted much, but I believe makes a big difference is a 5-core GPU in the Pro model versus a 4-core GPU in a this is the first time I think we might have seen a separate GPU design for Pro model versus so the die size for the Pro model A15 Bionic would be slightly bigger than and have more transistors. I think it has 15.8 billion transistors versus the non-Pro models have 15 billion transistors. So that is another, I would say, a big difference and talks to how Apple is now thinking in bifurcating the Pro models and the base models and positioning it higher and higher in users' minds.
That's a good point because I think Apple did a good job with the last year. The 12 Pro Max and Pro held on a little longer before the 12 overtook it, and certainly, yeah, Apple would like to continue that again this year. I did note see that it just slightly thicker, zero point 0.2 millimeter. So I don't know if that is the extra battery or yeah, something else within the layout, or the camera stack, which slightly increased. Probably not really anything a user would notice, but it is not thinner, which is not really Apple-like. But yeah, they are cramming a lot more into these devices and more
Correct.
bands and everything. Uh,
Yeah, and talking about thinner and lighter, Jeff, what about iPhone 12 mini? Everyone thought they would axe the mini because many thought it was not a success relative to the Pro models and the base 12 iPhone 12. But if you look at our data, right, from Counterpoint model sales tracker, actually the iPhone 12 mini sold more than Galaxy S21 or even
yeah.
Galaxy S21 Ultra for the first 6 months of 2021. So in that sense, relative to the company, it's one of the top selling model in top 15 globally, right? According to a model sales
Mhm.
tracker. So it technically, from scale perspective, it is good enough to have in the portfolio, right? And you can talk more about it, like in terms of prepaid market in US. Do you see the traction over there, or?
Yeah, even though, yeah, it was a small percentage of overall sales, it was still important, and most OEMs would be doing cartwheels with the volumes the Mini did. So I think it's two things. They keep it running because it is the smaller form factor for them, and so a person doesn't have to go to Android to get that. And plus, already within prepaid, the 12 mini is almost free within prepaid channels. So it's the one that really gets cost eroded, and
Hmm.
Apple can do some interesting things there to bring yeah, some lower costs down. So I guess it's not too surprising they still keep that option just to hold back any you know um, people moving over to Android because they don't have a small enough form factor.
That's a great entry point, according to
Hmm.
you, for people to get into the, and even targeting a particular demographics, like maybe kids or even female segment,
Hmm.
with smaller hands, a form factor which can be pocketable in your front pocket, right? For
Hmm.
those looking at, they still prefer a smaller form factor. Those who are upgrading from maybe iPhone 8 or have been using iPhone 6s, a hand down version, or iPhone 7 hand down, right? For them, it's still a good enough upgrade because the screen size is still bigger because the bezels are lower. So,
Yeah. Yeah, my conclusion is with a full portfolio and now two generations of 5G, that carriers can really start to get a bit more aggressive, pushing, those empty 5G networks.
mm,
Yeah, I take it as it will be a successful upgrade, even though maybe there aren't some, killer new use cases or whatever. It certainly was enough to keep the iOS base, iOS faithful,
mm.
happy, and probably continue even this very small Android to iOS. So all in all, I think it was a success for Apple, and will be. One other maybe final discussion point on the iPhone side is to talk about component shortages. And
Mm.
Apple certainly, similar to when I was at Nokia, the supply chain management folks were the rock stars. It does seem like Apple's doing a good job, has high expectations for these devices. However, overall, there still seems to be a lot of tightness. How do you think Apple will be able to navigate these first couple quarters where volumes are extremely high, or the demand at least is very high?
Yeah, I think it's an industry-wide shortage, as we know from mature node perspective, as when you look at display driver ICs for the OLED displays you have, or it's the power management ICs for all the chipsets you have. But the best part of Apple, as you said, they are supply chain rock stars, and Tim Cook is leading the company. So definitely they have their base covered. They have secured a lot of supply for the advanced nodes. So they are very good on that. On the mature nodes, I think they already must have forecasted that once last year when Huawei went off, and there was already a lot of different OEMs were double booking and stuff, and obviously they are sharing the same supply chain in many sense. But at the same time, you also look at Apple has a lot of its components which are customized and don't actually compete with the existing OEMs. So in that sense, they are protected versus other OEMs which are sharing the same common components. So whether it's a camera module or whether it's a chipset or it's a even power management IC, after acquiring Dialog Semi power management IC division, they have their own PMICs. So they are quite vertically integrated to actually face the supply issues. And looking at the announcements on the delivery dates, that you can pre-order right now and it's available for you to purchase, and it will be shipping last week of September. So that shows the remarkable job Apple has done being vertically integrated and securing the supply in such a tight environment. But
Yeah.
definitely there will be some jitteriness, some components which are still shared across.
Yeah. Excellent points. Well, the iPhones weren't the only thing announced yesterday. We had the Apple Watch Series 7. Maybe just a couple minutes, some opening impressions. I think the slightly larger screen, smaller bezels will be a welcome. As I have used these devices without having a button, I'll be looking to see if there's a bit better tactility. I'll use the example when I'm swimming and you basically have to, hit the scroll, and it takes quite a while, and it's tricky to actually get some tactility on the screen. If there are improvements there, certainly if anyone's trying to time a swim 100 meters or something by the time you turn the watch on or off, it's not really practical. But there were some other, fall detection, the heart monitoring, and other blood oxygen levels, and that. I think another year in the market and improvements there. I think a lot of the kind of the kinks that were in those new applications will be a lot better, and certainly Apple continue to push further. They certainly have a base that's very excited and happy with the watch, all the connected applications. And then finally, the new fitness services, you get 3 months free. I think that's very sticky and has been very successful for Apple. They spent a lot of time talking about the get into shape for ski season, and they have lots of celebrities teaching classes. So I think that has been a success and will even kind of continue to grow as a success story for Apple.
Absolutely. And who would know better than you, who have been Iron Man from like 50? You have crossed 50?
Yeah, that lack of blood oxygen levels to the brain, I can't quite remember, but it's quite a few. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, so I use mostly Apple Watch Series 6, which I've been using. I'm not that fit person in terms of like you, but use mostly for the heavy usage has been notifications, also pushing me to sit up and breathe and all those kind of meditation and all those kind of different use cases. But yeah, look forward to the Fitness Plus as it is launching in more countries. I think 21 countries now, and with a lot of different new types of workouts, as you said. I think it's going to be one of the key services, cornerstone services, which will drive a lot of stickiness, as you said, within the Apple Watch. And anyways, Apple Watch itself is such a sticky product that it brings a lot of users, Android users, to the iPhone ecosystem because they want to use Apple Watch, right? So in that case, I would say they've done a great job and adding more ruggedized features. And you bike a lot, right, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
So you would be happy with those new features of pause and start trip, and it syncs across the devices, right? So Apple
Yeah.
has baked in some AI ML as well as cloud capabilities to make that happen, right?
Yeah, yeah, certainly. And the fall detection and the different applications can track your routes and where you are in case someone's waiting for your return. They know exactly where you are. I think those are, yeah, excellent features. I also think the price tiers 200 to 400, plus
Hmm.
helps. This shared play, so you can have up to 35 people that can work out together. I think anytime you get this kind of Strava like, competing against others is always good, and it's fun and interesting. And I think that's a great new group fitness application that Apple has that will, yeah, definitely drive people to, yeah, get with their friends and get an Apple Watch. Mhm.
Yeah, and I believe still Apple is not done yet, and as Apple crossed 100 million units Apple Watches shipped right at
Mhm.
the end of Q2 according to our research, and now it has close to 50% market share, or almost less than 50% market share when you look at the high level OS type smartwatches. And if we look at the broader smartwatches with basic smartwatches, the share falls down a bit. But again, Apple is also not just moving it to premium, but it has, as you said, three models: Series 3, SE, and then Series 6, Series 7 now,
Mhm.
right? So the price points, the barriers to entering and using the Apple Watch is lower and lower.
Mhm.
So I believe compared to if you look at a MacBook or even an iPad in that sense.
Yeah. And final thing on the Apple Watch, I think the faster charging. If there was a um, something where Apple was behind the Garmin's and Swantos and others and Wear OS smartwatches, it was battery life. And with this fast charging, that alleviates some of the, yeah, pressures of that, because if it's not on your wrist, it's not tracking all the different health parameters and applications. There. So, hey, last item: iPad Mini, both updated. Any quick thoughts on Apple's progress there?
I believe iPad Mini was a showstopper for me with such a cute form factor, 8.3 in screen. Again, a great screen size right now. We are seeing a lot of foldables with those screen sizes, right? And if you want something which is portable, mobile, and you want to stay in the Apple ecosystem, but you still don't want a phone to be, so you can have a very good like iPhone Mini and a iPad Mini, and you have a MacBook Air, right? So that could be a very good combo if you're in an Apple ecosystem. And adding 5G capability to that, I believe that was a great move, and also pencil support to that. It's basically a mini iPad Pro, I would say now. In that sense, so I believe that was great. And the best part I liked was about the ultra wide front facing camera, 12
Mhm.
megapixel camera, if I'm not wrong, was in the front. And that was a big gripe for a lot of FaceTime users. And now adding that, I forgot the term, but they had this feature where you can use that wide angle in different applications as well, like Zoom, Teams, and so forth. Uh, the wide angle camera. So I think that was a great addition to iPad as well.
Yeah, I think center stage. So the video
Center
calling
stage,
app that keeps you kind of centered there if you're moving around during
right?
calls. Agree. They seem to check the boxes. You know, during COVID. Really gave lots of momentum to the iPad sales, up 40%. And I think they checked the boxes as far as improvements, adding gigabit LT to the iPad, and as you mentioned,
Mm.
5G to the iPad Mini, and higher nits, better performance. It seems like, yeah, they check the boxes and well, continue to do well. I think the other thing, giving schools the special pricing and getting users onto the ecosystem remains very successful to Apple, and it looks like they're continuing to do that. Mm.
Yep, yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Super. Well, I think that is a good, solid, quick roundup of the Apple event. And yeah, thanks for your time, Neil. Hmm.
Same here. Enjoyed the discussion. Great.
Yeah, take
Thank
care.
you. Take
Goodbye,
care.
everyone.
Bye.